One of the challenges in trying to analyze Donald Trump is in determining whether something he said was just a malicious lie or really, really, really stupid. And that's kind of the dilemma before us today, because during the National Prayer Breakfast, Trump went on a barely coherent tangent about the LA wildfires and water and actions he took, which not only were not useful, they were probably harmful in the long term. And so we have to determine whether he just lied to the American people or if he's too stupid to realize that what he did was bad. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, here is the current president of the United States talking about the wildfires and water. And we're going to play this clip, and then we're going to have to unpack whatever the hell this is.
Because the environmentalists didn't want water. They still don't want it. If they had their choice, they don't want it. I said, are you crazy? And I'm sure you've seen it. The water comes down from the northwest parts of Canada, I guess, but the Pacific Northwest. And it comes down by millions and millions of barrels a day. And I opened it up. It wasn't that easy to do. But I opened it up, and it's pouring down, and it's a beautiful thing. And it should have happened. I told them to do it in my last term. They didn't do it, but now we just did it. They didn't want to do it, but we did it.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. So, co-host of Pod Save America and LA resident John Favreau responded with this, saying, wow, I figured all this water falling on us here in LA the last 2 days was rain, but I guess it's Trump water from Northern California. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Hashtag MAGA. For a more, that was obviously a sarcastic response, well-deserved. For a more in-depth explanation as to what Trump did, and we're going to look at a couple, I want you to hear from another resident of California, Congressman Ted Lieu, who explained that despite what Donald Trump said and what he may or may not believe, because again, I'm not sure if it's a lie or if he's just stupid, Congressman Lieu unpacks what Donald Trump actually did and how not only useless it was, but how ultimately harmful it is.
I just want to explain, when you solve for the wrong problem, not only do you not get the solution, you can cause harm. So Donald Trump has it in his mind that somehow there's a spigot in Northern California, he's going to open a valve and dump water to Southern California. Here are the facts. Southern California's reservoirs are at near record levels when this fire happened. Didn't matter, because Donald Trump then ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to release over 2 billion gallons of water that almost flooded farmland, if not for the local water districts that pushed back. But guess what? This water was saved for the farmers for the summer season when they needed the water. And so the president wasted all this water that isn't even reaching Southern California. It's going to evaporate for a PR stunt. So this was a harmful, ludicrous action to solve for the wrong problem.
Yeah. I don't even know. It's another major challenge. So the first challenge I said is trying to discern whether or not Donald Trump just lied to people, which is really bad, or if he's just too stupid to understand what he did, which is also really bad. That's the problem when you have a president of the United States who's both really stupid and really dishonest, as we do. This is going to have long-term implications. This might truly lead to even more disastrous shit in the summer, because remember, these LA wildfires occurred December, right? December. Imagine how it's going to be potentially, what the conditions might be during spring and summer, right? What we could potentially see, droughts, other natural phenomenon. Those 2 billion gallons of water that were held in reserve for farmers and their farmland might have been helpful, maybe. As CBS reports, the water released from 2 California reservoirs because of Donald Trump will likely go to waste and not help Los Angeles with firefighting, experts say. So let's look at this. In the LA Times, water unexpectedly released from dams on Trump's order didn't help farms or LA. days after Trump startled some of his most ardent supporters in California's San Joaquin Valley by having the Army Corps engineers suddenly release water from 2 dams, many in the region and beyond were still perplexed. Acting on an order from Washington, the Corps allowed irrigation water to flow down river channels for 3 days into the network of engineered waterways that fan out among farm fields in the San Joaquin Valley. Coursing from rivers to canals to irrigation ditches, much of the water eventually made its way into retention basins, where it soaked into the ground, replenishing groundwater. Quote, "It's been recharged to the ground," said Tom Bercelis, president of Lower Tool Irrigation District and a dairyman and farmer. "That sounds good, except farmers in parts of the San Joaquin Valley typically depend on water from the 2 dams to irrigate crops in the summer. In other words, the release of the water this time of year, when agriculture usually doesn't require it, means that growers are likely to have less water stored in the reservoirs this summer during a year that so far is among the area's driest on record." We could just stop there. It's worth repeating, and I understand if MAGA's watching, they don't care because you're part of a cult, so it doesn't matter. 2 plus 2 is 5 as far as you're concerned. If Donald Trump wills it, the laws of physics and math and water, none of that matters. None of it matters because your orange god said so. But to those who may be on the fence, maybe just voted for Trump and not part of the cult, guys, folks, come on. This is really, 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 really dumb. Quote, "It would have been better utilized if we could keep it there and use it this summer for irrigation," Barcelos said. "The loss of that water, equivalent to about 2 days of maximum water use during the summer irrigation season, amounted to, quote, not a lot of harm, not a big foul," he said. Still, he said, quote, "I believe someone in D.C. got a little overzealous." The sudden unplanned release of water from the dams has led to criticism from some residents, water managers, and members of Congress who say the unusual discharge of water seems to have been intended to make a political statement, to demonstrate that Trump has the authority to order federal dams or pumps to send more water flowing as he directs. Quote, "These kind of shenanigans, they hurt smaller farmers," says Desiree Bagileos, a local water activist. "Small growers have already been struggling, and the release of water from dams mean they will have less when they need it," Bagileos said. Quote, "The last thing in the world California water management needs is somebody like Trump calling shots when he doesn't know how anything works. It's making an already hard situation very, very difficult. We don't have a lot of wiggle room in the state of California to be messing around with our water supply like this." So there you have it, folks. Not good. Is it potentially disastrous? Maybe not, because we don't know what summer will bring. But California is having rain issues and has had rain issues because of climate change for years. And even this year so far is inordinately dry, unusually dry. And so for you to waste billions of gallons of water for a photo op, as Congressman Liu points out, which will not help people, what are you doing? Are you stupid? Or do you know what you're doing and you're just lying and screwing over your constituents as the president of the United States? Trump drains California's most precious resource for a photo op. By dumping billions of gallons of water in the rainy season, Trump is double-crossing the very farmers he claims to back in the state's water wars. This is an op-ed. "I was raised in arid California, where water conservation is a form of morality. As a then-recent transplant to the rain-drenched Pacific Northwest, witnessing this preposterous waste of reservoir water was something akin to watching a big game hunter kill an elephant for sport. These ghastly feelings surfaced again last week when Donald Trump ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to uselessly dump billions of gallons of water from reservoirs into the Sierra Nevada foothills north of Bakersfield, attempting to warp physical reality to match his twisted hallucinations about California's water engineering. Trump's order followed weeks of ignorant bluster about how the catastrophic LA wildfires could have been prevented if only state officials had turned a mythical valve to send more water to Southern California. Trump displays no demonstrable knowledge of how wildfire works. LA was vulnerable to the catastrophic firestorms of the past month because the region had received 0.16 inches of rainfall since June, a full 4 inches below average in the driest stretch in more than 60 years. It was a drought exacerbated by climate change that Donald Trump, by the way, has assured us is a Chinese hoax. The lack of rainfall made the grasses and scrub where footholds meet foothills, meet the LA cityscape, what planners call the urban wild interface, into a tinderbox. Trump, whose idea of getting out into nature is playing 18 holes at a manicured golf course, can't seem to fathom that the canyons and brushlands surrounding America's second largest metropolis don't benefit from sprinkler irrigation. And then it goes on like this, but here's the point. Again, we have the challenge of discernment. When Donald Trump was speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast, was he lying to the cameras? Was he lying to the people in attendance knowingly? So he knew that what he did was wrong and he shouldn't have done it, but he was hoping for again, a photo op or some sort of like political benefit. Was that what he was doing? Or maybe it was just deliberate. Maybe it was malicious, right? Maybe to punish California, as he's repeatedly suggested he wants to do by withholding federal assistance. Maybe he did it. Maybe it was like two birds with one stone. Like, let's screw over these people who constantly vote for my Democratic challengers and my Democratic opposition. Let's screw them over as they head into summer. And we'll also benefit from a brief photo op. Or is he just too dumb to realize what he did was not only useless, but actively harmful in the long term? I don't know. And I'd be interested to hear in what you have to say. Was Trump lying, or is he just really stupid in this instance? Let me know what you think in the comments.